Continuing now with our lead story, is Donald Trump actually helping the Democratic Party? Joining us, I'm watching Charles Krauthammer, author of the book Things That Matter. You know, I feel kind of bad because there's your book, and I want everybody to, if you don't have it by now, you should get it. I feel kind of bad because that was like a partisan analysis, and I don't like to be a partisan guy. I'm an independent. But if you really look at the facts, and you really look at the achievements, and President Obama's got like 1 year left, you know, you can say, all right, maybe Obamacare benefits the poor. Overall benefit to the country still to be assessed. Maybe Bo Bergdahl trade was good for the country. That kind of escapes me. But the Republicans should be up 60 points on the Democrats, but they're not. And I think it's the Trump factor. Am I wrong?
No, I think you've actually stumbled near the truth, but you've got one of the nuances wrong. Look, you're absolutely right. They've given how dissatisfied the country is with its condition, and given the fact that we've been under an Obama government for 6 years, this ought to be the driving theme of the Republicans, and it ought to have them way ahead. Why isn't that true? Think back to the Republican debate. You heard all kinds of names thrown around, including Hillary Clinton. But there was a very strange absence, a very low incidence of the use of the name Obama. The candidates led by Donald Trump were trying to be one more anti-establishment than the other. Trump's campaign, and here's where I disagree, it's not just that the pizzazz around him, the hoopla around him, and the sizzle, as you put it, is what's distracting. It's also the fact that the substance of what he's saying. Look, Donald Trump is not running against the Democrats. He's running against Washington. He's running against the establishment. He's running against the politicians, he says, who are stupid and incompetent, are being out-maneuvered by those clever Chinese and Mexicans, etc. So the substance of the campaign is anti-establishment rather than anti-democratic. And that, I think, is the core of what's going on right here.
But you can point to all of Trump's specific criticisms as the failure of the President of the United States, because he's the leader. He's the guy that's got to rally the country to stand up to the Chinese, or to stand up to the Mexicans, or to stop all the illegal immigration. So I agree with you that it's an anti-establishment play, all right, but I don't agree that President Obama's not responsible, because he is. He's the leader.
But that's how I would argue if I were campaigning. That's how traditionally the out party campaigns, when it's running after 6 years, 7 years, and it wants to regain the White House. But the problem is that in Obama's case, what you're getting is a kind of a pass, because Trump is leading the field, Trump is shaping the debate, and Trump is in effect running as a third-party candidate. He's running an intra-party, intra-GOP insurgency against the leadership, against the establishment, and therefore the argument against the Democrats is left by the wayside. Look, historically speaking, you go back to 1953, with only one exception. Every time one party's held the White House for 2 terms, they have been tossed out on their rear ends. The only exception, of course, is Reagan, who was so successful they gave him the 3rd term with George Bush Sr. running it. But otherwise, Americans usually after 8 years are tired.
Yeah, they want to change.
In this particular case, the failure of the administration, as you outlined in your talking points, is so overwhelming. It is a gimme. It is a gimme for the Republicans.
Right.
But Trump is leading them into an intra-party fight.
Okay, but I don't know how much longer that lasts. We'll see in the next debate in 2 weeks whether the Republicans come back to, listen, 71% of the country is dissatisfied. 71%. That includes a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals, all right? And maybe they're dissatisfied in a Bernie Sanders way. They want to burn down capitalism and put in, Cuba Light. But I don't think there's a lot of those people. Now, everybody goes, the media. I don't buy that anymore, because I think the message has gotten through, as I just said. I think the stats show Americans know this country has lost an enormous amount of power. Enormous amount of power in almost 7 years under Mr. Obama. Would you say that's true? Most Americans know that.
But that's what's so, if you're a Republican, tragic about the course of this campaign. Of course it's true. It's overwhelmingly true. The world knows it. Americans know it, but it is not something Republicans are hammering. I'll give you one small example. When Trump got into this John McCain thing, what he said was, you know, what I really have against McCain is about how the veterans are being treated. Now, this is really absurd. Who's in charge of the VA? Who runs it? The administration, the president, the cabinet, the people he appointed, his political appointees. That's where the blame resides for 6 years of mistreatment. To blame it on one senator or even the whole Senate is ridiculous. It's not the job of the legislature to run the Veterans Department. Here is an obvious case where you can argue against democratic rule, show how it is corrupt and incompetent, and yet it's not being made.
No.
And that, I think, is, it's not the media, it's not the pizzazz, it's not the hype. It's the substance of these arguments. They are leaving out Obama, they're leaving out the Democrats.
First Republican candidate that gets back to that, copies my talking points of tonight, and believe me, somebody will. They're going to surge, because I think that the Trump thing is now played out. He's established himself as an anti-government guy.